Hey everyone, this is WobblyWallaby. Today I'll be going through part 2 of the Magic Doram guide. Thanks to Zacht for collaborating with me once again to show the power of Magic Doram. This video will focus on the skills, advanced ruins, and demonstrations of the skill rotation in legend instances. If you want to know how to play Magic Doram for PvE, stay tuned. First, for gear, cards, ancient relics, R.LUM.R, and more, check out the previous video with Zacht, where he goes in depth into these topics. I'll begin with skills. I recreated his skills and slots. Here are his witch skills. Here are his spiritualist skills. Here are his summoner skills. Here are his spirit summoner skills. For Spirit Whisperer, everything is maxed out. In his Prepare for Elite, he has Stoop, Soul Bead, Meow Meow, Tasty Shrimp Party, and Natural Rage. On his first manual skill slot, he has Prepare for Elite, Shrimp Pond, Cat Transformation, Rumble, and Dried Lifesaver Fish. On his second manual skill slot, he has Catnip Meteor, Corn Gatling, Cat Flying Saucer Bombardment, Meowgrass, Catmint Powder, and Jump. On his third manual skill slot, he has No Entry, Clear Sky Whirlpool, Lunatic Gunner, Natural Rage, Meow, and Meow Meow. For the auto bar, it's either Resurrect only or Resurrect plus Meteor. Having Resurrect on auto and legend is very useful since your teammates need to come back quickly. He said putting Prepare for Elite in auto actually messes up the Meteor spam, which is why he doesn't do that and casts it manually. Next are advanced ruins. The important ruins are Meteor Strike, Mentha Growth, Flying Frisbee, Crazy Tree, Seafood Pond, and Earth Revival Star. For attribute ruins, you can see the important ones placed here, and you can also see overall how he places everything in here. Here are his ruins in depth. For Meteor Strike Ruin, Catnip Meteor is one of the primary damaging skills, so the faster you can cast, the better. So ideally, you get a high first and second line. For Mentha Growth Ruin, the third line is good for PvP, but not necessary for PvE. The first and second line being high will help with your attack and survivability. Next, for Flying Frisbee, you need the third line to cast 2 UFOs for PvE. Without 2 UFOs, you're going to lose a ton of DPS. A high first line is ideal too if you're lucky enough to get the third line. For Crazy Tree Ruin, a high first line will help you deal more damage. For Seafood Pond Ruin, this is an incredible buff and ideally you have all lines fairly high. For Earth Revival Star, a high first line is great for critical damage. The second and third line are used for PvP. Next, here's a brief overview of his gear, Ancient Relic, and R.LUM.R used for this run. Also, for his Adventure Handbook, it's at 2222 magic attack. His magic damage is at 52%. Next, here are some general strategies from Zacht for PvE instances like legend runs. He says, always prioritize putting up summons since 50% plus damage from Magic Doram comes from them. Also, don't hesitate to move them if the boss moves, since idle UFOs are a big DPS loss. Thankfully, the AoE is huge. In case you're wondering what these summons are, they are the Cat UFO, the Corn Gatling, and Lunatic Gunner. He continues, the rest of the DPS depends on how many meteors you cast. It's very spammy with a good ruin. As such, prone to be left off cooldown and losing DPS. Try to squeeze it between summons and everything. Here's the Meteor Strike rune he mentioned. I also show the Catnip Meteor cooldowns, and you can see how a good first and second line rune can help reduce that time quite significantly. Zacht says summon priority is UFO, Gatling, and Gunner. Gunner is there just to get the 80% summon damage. If you don't have time to cast it, Gunner can be skipped. The 80% summon damage comes from the skill Vegetable Friend. If you have 2 UFOs, 1 Corn Gatling, and 1 Lunatic Gunner, you will get the 80% summon damage. Next, he says, if you noticed already, I put both 15% magic damage increase buffs in my manual slot. This is to keep track of the buff cooldown. But only the self buff is put in Prepare for Elite along with Natural Rage. Their cooldown is aligned with Natural Rage, so mid-fight you can rotate each of them. This is the skill rotation. Put summons and Catnip Meteors in between, then prepare for Elite, then the debuff fields, more on this later. Then put summons and Catnip Meteors in between, Meow Meow, Natural Rage, and then debuff field. Keep looping these to get better uptime of those buffs. He continues, Pond is a big DPS increase for the party. It's good for initial burst or when disarmed by Nuka. Here's the Seafood Pond skill and also the rune required to get it. For the debuff field priority, he says choose Catmint over Meow Grass. Assuming your magic penetration or ignore magic defense is already enough, then Grass is optional. Catmint, however, is a must for that big DPS jump. Also in the future, the tier 5 weapons will have it auto-casted. Finally, he says Dry Lifesaver is used when someone can't tank Isles, or just how you use a typical anti-fatal of other classes. Also Resurrect whenever needed. If you want to try out Magic Doram and need BCC to acquire the cards, gachas, or runes, then try Smile.1. Smile.1 allows you to get discounted BCC and premiums for Ragnarok Mobile. They've been around for more than 8 years and have lots of global business partners for other games too. I'll put a link in the description. Thanks to Smile.1 for sponsoring this video. Next, let's take a look at 2 legend runs with Zacht. First is Lost Isles Floor 3. For this run, he was supposed to be using the Shell Chapet Star card and not the Seed of Yggdrasil card. Zacht says that healing isn't that great in Legend, and adding DPS cards is a faster clear. He goes to the middle of the map and casts his buffs. Shrimp Pond goes down as well, and all these summons. Ketman Powder is down too. Then the boss gets aggroed. In between his attacks, he puts down a Meow Grass. It definitely gets very hectic, and as he mentioned before, you may not get a chance to get Lunatic Gunner, but that's still okay. When the second phase starts, you see his summons are all on top of the heart, so he can burst it down quickly when it becomes vulnerable. Drake goes down. He resurrects his teammate, which is great. Then he targets the Corrupted Energy Orb with Catnip Meteor. When the heart is vulnerable, he's already got all his summons and debuff fields on top of it, so he can burst it down very efficiently. When the last phase starts, the boss goes right under the UFO, and his teammates keep him in place. There's definitely not a dull moment when playing Magic Doram. He's casting so much stuff manually that it takes a lot of concentration. You also gotta run around to dodge stuff too. I'll show the DPS charts for floor 1 and floor 2 in case you're interested in how well he did on those floors. For the results, we can see Zacht can compete with other DPS like Genos and Taekwon, which is fantastic. Next we'll look at Museum floor 3. At the start, he casts Shrimp Pond and begins setting up his summons. Then he sets up the 2 debuff fields. He continues that rotation for a bit. The Divine Avenger aggroes the bosses at the top. Kimura is the first target. Zacht keeps rotating his skills. I notice he keeps back quite a lot to avoid getting hit. When he starts getting hit, he can run around and his summons continue to do damage. You can see he continues to do his skill rotation and he casts a lot of stuff manually. He also gets hit with the increased cast time, which is super annoying, but luckily his existing summons can still do damage while he's casting. Kamara goes down. Next is Joel, who's already been weakened by the AoE. Watch Zacht's manual bar as he flips between all three. It definitely takes a lot of actions per minute to play this class. The bosses go to the top and he has to recast the summons there again for them. There's also a lot of running around as you see him escaping in his motorcycle to avoid the AoE. When under Nuka's group disarm, he's able to help his party by casting Prepare for Elite, Meowgrass, and Catmint Powder until group disarm wears off. Finally, Joel goes down. Pokerani is up next. He resurrects his Nidhogg teammate. Unfortunately, Nuka saw this and was not pleased and Ashura strikes Zacht. Upon dying, a cat UFO summons near his corpse to avenge him. Zacht gets revived again. He continues the rotation, starting with getting all the summons up quickly. He gets the debuff fields down. Pokerani is going down. Nuke is not pleased again and Ashura strikes Zacht. After coming back to life, again, he first prioritizes getting these summons and meteors up, followed by the debuff fields. Now only Nuka is left. The Divine Avenger keeps him in place so the Magic Doram and Genos don't have to keep recasting stuff because Nuka wanders off too far. Finally, Nuka goes down. Let's see the results. I'll show the DPS charts for floor 1 and floor 2 in case you're interested in how well he did on those floors. We see Zacht has achieved top DPS for Museum floor 3. Very nice to him and his teammates. A huge thanks to Zacht for sharing his insight and legend runs with me. I hope you learned a lot about Magic Doram by seeing it in action. If you enjoyed this video, please like, comment, and subscribe. Here's Zacht's previous video, and if you want more Doram content, check out this playlist over here.